Welcome to the Knitting Samurai and Her Guys video podcast. I'm your host, Steph, and this is a podcast about knitting. Thanks so much for checking me out, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. All right, I am just a brief synopsis here about my life. I am a mom in New Hampshire, a stay-at-home mom. I have two boys, 6 and 4, although 6 is about to be 7. And my husband works here nearby in New Hampshire. Did I say New Hampshire? Yes. So, Seacoast, New Hampshire. We love it here. And this morning, it's a wet Wednesday. Maybe that'll be the episode title. Wet Wednesday. Because it rained cats and dogs last night. Of course, I didn't hear much of it because of the air conditioner. I may have set the house to refrigerator temperature. And I get really cold. So Tristan slept with winter PJs on and extra blankets last night, and that's when I said, okay, I'm going to turn off the air conditioners. So let's jump into knitting. I will tell you that I recorded an episode yesterday, and I was just too scattered and all over the place, and Roland's home this week, so he was underfoot, and it was so disjointed that I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit down and record again today. But today, I've got my notebook, so I don't forget the things I want to tell you. So first, let me just tell you, we're going to have blankets, the blanket. We're going to have some socks, but not the socks you think. And some splash pad party items. And I'll talk a little bit about Stash Dash. And then I'll tell you what I'm watching and what I'm reading and what's going on with us. So let's jump in. Okay. So first, the splash pad party, I'm going to start there because I have a big chunk to talk about that. The splash pad party is hosted by Down Cellar Studios Boston Jen. It's something she does every summer. I am a sponsor of that, or I should say Adorn It's my Etsy shop where I sell stitch markers and earrings and wine charms. So this week I was working on earrings and wine charms. So in the next couple days, by the weekend, should have a pretty big update of those items, including some Harry Potter stuff. I'm dipping my toe into the Harry Potter. It seems very popular, and so why not give it a try? Why not give the people what they want? So, sorry, I'm a little giddy this morning. So the splash pad party, Jen, Down Cellar Studios. It's a very good audio podcast. You should listen if you don't. She's entertaining, and it's fun to know what's going on with her and what she's working on. But this knit along, I'm not doing the full knit along, but I am doing the X Games, which are 8 different types of knitting projects that you knit to finish the X Games. So, and I'm using it more as a motivation to get me out of blankets and socks because that was pretty much all I was knitting. So to that end, I cast on some dishcloths. So these are for the hit the showers task out of it. So I've completed 4 of the 8. Nope. 3 of the 8. And it finishes at the end of July, so 10 days from now. Not very much time, but whatever, it's for fun. For me, it's for fun anyways. So here is one of them. I love this one. I striped the yarn. I actually I'll drink 2 because it's coffee time. Okay, I got 5 washcloths out of 1 skein of sugar wheel cotton, I believe is what it's called. Very pretty color gradient yarn, but as you can see, a couple came out small. I can't count to 40, so I can't count past 40. This one I showed you last week with its wonky edge, but it still works. So all the ends are woven in. These guys are so soft and squishy, and I know they've got some sort of chemical wash, like a fabric softener or something on them, and the dishcloths won't stay that soft forever, but for right now, ooh, I love them. I just want to squish. So, and as far as knitting a cotton, these were not bad, and I knit them on US size 5s. I am a loose knitter, but it came out pretty nice. So there's that. I'm just excited to have something different and done. Next, I talked about that I was going to knit a baby sweater, that I needed a new one in the shop, and I showed you the yarn, right? This big bright cake. So I picked the 3 colors out of that. That's also a sugar wheel. I don't know the name of it, sorry. And I made this great sweater. So it is finished, woven in, but not blocked. So and no buttons yet. So I want to turn my back. But here you go. I really, really love it. So this yarn recommends using a US 8 needle. I went down to a 5 for the garter on the cuffs and the collar. And then I used US 6s for the rest of it. As I said, I am a loose knitter, and it's just so dense and really great and squishy. It's not super squishy, it's just really dense, and it's gonna last forever. It'll be here post-apocalypse. So it's a really cute little sweater. I'm trying to decide, right? So I have this red button band, and then I put on it. Oh, and this will fit, this is like the 1-year-old size. It's splaying out, but really, there, that's the 1-year-old size. I'm trying to decide if I like these buttons. Can I show you both at once? Or these buttons better? Where are you? So you can see one is a shiny, shiny flower, and the other one is this great bug, but the bug is like perfect for that pink color. So fuchsia, it's not really pink, it's more of a magenta. Magenta. I love it. I worked on it while I was getting my oil change at the garage, and can I just tell you, I love our Honda dealership. Ugh, they're so awesome there. But anyways, whole long story, and I don't have time for that because Roland has soccer practice in about half an hour. Oh, and I forgot to turn the alarm off. Well, the alarm's gonna go off. You're gonna have to hear it. So that one, that sweater, is for the playground, which is part of the X Games. That is the task to knit something for a child. So I didn't really want to knit a toy. I've done a few toys, but the boys don't play with them, and I feel funny giving them away too. I'm self-conscious about that. Like, I will always give away knitted hats, sweaters, blankets. Very happy to do that, socks to friends. But knitted toys, I don't know. They're a lot of work on tiny needles, and I'm not sure that recipients appreciate that or will care for them properly. So we have our Rebecca Danger. We have a handful of Rebecca Danger toys that I've knit. Yeah, not a lot. So there's that. I think that's it. Last week I talked about knitting a purple hat. I showed you just the cast on so far, like 3 inches of cast on, but nothing else. So I haven't done anything with that. When I finished this baby sweater, I cast on another one. So this one is much smaller. So this is the other half of that skein and another one. So I love using, it's acrylic yarn. It's nothing sexy. I'll put it like that. But for the purpose, it's great yarn to use for that. And I love the color changes and the way the yarn stripes. Like, this starts as a dark, deep purple, very dark purple. Yeah, almost navy, royal purple. And then it goes down, and it's fun. And it knits really fast. So this stitch marker is here. This is one of mine. And that's actually one of the Splash Pad Party exclusive items. But hang on, it's coming. Processing, loading. Ro and I watched The Last Jedi yesterday afternoon, and that's where I was, and I did all of this to about here in that time. Like, I was zooming along. That movie I really, really enjoyed it. Steve, my husband, can't be motivated to watch it. So I think that just tells us who's the Star Wars fan in this house. I know the little guys are, but maybe I'm pushing it on them. Maybe I bought the bedroom decals and the blankets and sheets and pillows, throw pillows for their beds and everything. Yeah, we have a lot of Star Wars and a lot of play school Star Wars, a lot of Lego Star Wars. We've watched all the Clone Wars. They've watched all the Clone Wars, the TV show. I watched about half of it and got mad at them when they watched it without me. So yeah, we're Star Wars people. but not so much my husband. So Ro and I were like, okay, let's just do it. It's been out. We didn't get to see it in the theater because people thought, PG-13, it'll be too much for my 6-year-old. It's fine for my 6-year-old. He's just, doesn't bother him. It did when he was really little. Drama, any sort of drama, anything bad happening to characters bothered him. But now, he's fine. So we did it. We watched it, and it was great, and I highly enjoyed it. So anyways, I worked on this while I watched that. So same needle sizes, 5 for the cuffs, 6 for the body. I did 3 buttonholes, which you should always do an odd number of buttonholes, just remember that. And so I did my 3 buttonholes, and then I was like, you know what, I don't want a pearl. So I joined it and made it a Henley sweater, which is great. Like, that'll fit over a little noggin. So I don't know what's up with this. Does anyone know why it's doing that? I want it to lay flat, and I know I'll block it flat, but the minute a baby wears it, it's gonna curl again. So short of tacking it down to like pull it back, I don't know what to do, because it really wants to flop up. I'm looking at my other sweater. The other one doesn't do that. I think I did one more garter row on the bottom of the first baby sweater versus the second. This is the, did I say it's the 12-month? No, it's the first reminder. Okay. Sorry. I have to set lots of reminders and alarms on everything to keep me in the right places at the right time, or I can't keep track. So this is 6-month size. So, yay! And this will probably be the, whatever the pool one is, because of the greens and the blues. It's a dark color for the splash pad party. And now I'm officially done talking about splash pad party items. Okay. You know, there's also this thing called Stash Dash that happens every summer, and I think I mentioned that there have been 5 years previous. I've done 4, I've completed 3. That sounds about right. Years off for good behavior and newborn children. So, so I was attempting it this year, but I'll tell you what, I'm doing the 5K. So that's 5,000 meters of yarn, and it's July 20th, thereabouts. I usually have my watch on, that's why I did that. And I've done 439 meters. So, and that includes what I just showed you. So knitting a blanket isn't a great way to achieve a Stash Dash goal, because I think they changed the rule that you could include squares, but I don't, oh, my bag got wet sitting in the chair. But I don't really, Wet Wednesday, I don't really want to. I don't know, I want it to be finished items as it's been in the past. So it's like me against myself previous years. So let's see if I can crank something out and do it. I was loving knitting on these guys. Last time I talked to you, I had the initial, let me back up, the initial 7, right? The blue and then the 6 surrounding, I had those done. So I've done quite a bit of work, right? Almost another ring around. You can see I have 3 spots where I need to go in. Here, here, and here. Who knew? You could point with your nose. But I was finding that I was knitting exclusively on this, and my knitting time was barely enough to finish a hex a day. That's what I was aiming for. And it kind of made me reevaluate and go, what am I doing here? I really want to knit more than like 2 hours a day. Like, that's not even an evening for me, right? So, and I couldn't even get that done. I was struggling to complete 1 hex a day. So I set it aside, and I found some motivation doing those other things, right? The baby sweaters, they're so quick and easy and fun and colorful. I love them. And you always know somebody who's having a baby. So I highly encourage everyone to knit baby sweaters. But those gave me some inspiration. And then I picked back up some of the colorwork projects I had previously been working on, and those kind of pushed me forward. And unfortunately, this got set aside for that. But you know, I'd rather finish those other projects than keep going on this blanket. I've knit, if this is 13-ish, I've knit 40 blanket squares since May, or blanket hexes. This is the hexagon pattern by Very Busy Monkey, because I took a few notes this time. I've knit 40 squares in 2 months, I think, or hexes. I think that's good. I can set it back down for a little while and I'll pick it back up. but right now I'd really like to get Stash Dash done. So that's my goal for this week. This is my favorite of the most recent hexes, that one. So, and these are all from Linda, Naughty 54 Knitter. This one's great. It's hard to see, but it does. It's a marled yarn that's a gradient at the same time. It's very cool. And this one is a nice self-striper. She sent me a card. It's just a nice brown, telling me what everything is. This is when I had it in my stash. This is Open Sky Studio. This is Jeanette. Yep, with the Stellina in it. I don't know if you can see it. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. This is some Luxe thread. I think that's Joanne's house brand. That I knit these socks for my mother-in-law. They're very pretty. Like country is what they remind me of. Country socks, but nice gradient. Gradient. Self-striping, sorry. This one is some Claudia hand paints in, I want to say it's Rock Creek. It's one of my favorite basic colors. I knit myself the 4 Sticks hat by Tangerine Designs out of that. This one is another one from Linda. Look at that swirl. Isn't that cool? The green to a point, the light to a point. I like it. I like it. There's things you see when you look at it on screen that you don't see otherwise. And then this one, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure what this is, to be honest. It feels like a Claudia hand paints, or yeah, but I can't remember, and I can't imagine a world in which I would buy a yellow, honestly, in Claudia. But Claudia hand paints yarn that was fingering is now called Addiction, and it is carried at my LYS, and it's probably my most favorite yarn. It's in the top 5, we'll put it like that. So the next thing, so I gotta hurry. You may recall that I knit these squares socks a few months ago, probably back in April. I knit a maroon pair, and then I knit this, it's actually called Flax, Flax. It's a Patton's Croy colorway, and I knit these for my father-in-law because, to be honest, this is the color repeat of the self-striper that I chose to get out of my stash, and I'll say it like that. I don't like this color. So I thought I'd knit with it for him and give it away, and he won't mind. And these are knit on US 1s in the back, 3s on the top, and they're stranded, so they're double thick, and they're super warm and cozy. They fit my feet, they'll fit his feet, although I did knit them for his feet, so they're a little wider. I think he's gonna love them because he's always cold, and he's been a pretty big help to us in the past year and a half since I've been less than fully functional. He's been very understanding, and just, I really am appreciating people more and their actions towards me than I used to. So to that end, I thought I would knit him a pair of socks that match my mother-in-law's. So isn't that cute? Hers are maroon with that pretty blue purple gray. Why do I want to call everything a gradient this morning? Self-striping yarn. And then here's his. So these I had knit flat, put in an afterthought heel placement. So when I picked him back up, I slapped in this other heel, and I took 2 strands and I made it self-stripe. I made smaller stripes than it would have been. It would have been 4 stripes per color, but I made it 2s and 2s. So you can see that. And I Kitchenered. Kitchener's so hard for me. It's not so hard. Every single time I need, maybe I should get a tattoo of it. The first step, just tell me, purl through the front, and then I could go. Like once I know where to start, I'm fine. Like I know the rhythm, but every time I have to look it up on YouTube, and it makes me a little crazy that I have to do that. So did this one, and even between them, this sock, this is the second sock, I threw down at that point. I had stopped, right? So I had 4 square motifs up the leg. So I really didn't have much to go if you look at how long I made the cuffs. Like seriously, 2 more pattern repeats and some rib. So I threw it down, I picked it back up, I knit every last inch of this that I have. You're like, Stephanie, you're showing us yarn and you're throwing it on the ground and you have more. What are you talking about? Well, I ripped it back because I ended up with 4 rows of ribbing to the 10 or 11 rows of ribbing on this sock, so I didn't really like that. So, and this, oh, I'm ribbing in size 3s. That might make a difference, guys. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I probably went down a needle size, although this ribbing's really loose. Maybe I didn't, but I should, because it's not color work, and I don't knit socks on 3s normally. Okay, note to self. Thank you for helping me figure this out. I'll go down a needle size, but meanwhile, I did go to Joann's and order. I went to the local Joann's to try and get another skein of Croy, and they didn't have it, so I went to their website and ordered it, 25% off, so yay, free shipping. Yeah, and there's an Enterprise, and if you like the Enterprise, you can get one in my shop, adorknits.com, adorknits.etsy.com. There you go. Okay, last time. So those will be some yardage to count towards Stash Dash once that gets here. I was on a roll with it, but then I ran out of yarn, so I had to stop. So it'll resurface, I promise. The other thing, the last thing on my needles, Erin at Bling Your Strings. If you don't watch her podcast, you should. She Must Craft. No, oh, I did this last time. Why didn't I write that? I wrote down the name of her shop and her name, but not her. She was knitting these on, apologies, Erin. She Must Make? That sounds right. Yeah, She Must Make, I think, on YouTube. She was knitting these beautiful socks by Carmen Jorgensen. Did I get it right? I did, Carmen Jorgensen. And you can see that it's a self-striping yarn with a contrast yarn. And it's so cool. Actually, maybe 2 contrast yarns, because she did the heels in dark green and the toes in light green. Either way, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. But I looked at this sock and I wanted it, so I cast on and I knit one whole sock. And I love it because it's kind of like a, oh look, a Roland drawing with my pattern. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure sock. So she gives you 12 or 13, she's a bunch of stitch patterns to choose from. And I'm looking for my pen, there we go. And you just slap them in as you go. As the color changes, you put in a new stitch pattern. So really super fun. I use Knit Picks Essential, and the purple is, there we go, Plum Tweed. It has 10% Donegal in it, so that's giving it the flex. Giving it the flex. Can you see it well enough? Okay. And then the other one is Knit Picks Felici in Candy Jar. I'm looking if I have a ball to show you. So this is what it looks like caked up, and this is what it looks like on my sock. So fun, so fun. I knit it on US 1s, maybe 1.5s, bigger needles for a sock for me. Usually I would knit a sock on a size 0. And she's got the stitch count just right, and they fit perfect, which is amazing to me because I knit probably 10 years ago Wendy Johnson's Norwegian Rose pattern, which was from her Socks from the Toe Up book. One of her sock books. Beautiful pattern, but I was so new to sock knitting. I had probably been knitting socks 2 years, and I didn't really understand negative ease, gauge, needle size, and color work, how all that interacted. And I just did my standard I did my standard sock construction, and yeah, no, it didn't work out. And I did 2 of them because I'm crazy, and I still have them somewhere in the house. Like, I saved them because they were colorwork socks and they're gorgeous, but don't fit my feet, or they do, and it's like, oh, I can't walk, these are so tight. So this one turned out great, absolutely great. And I got past the toe back in April-May timeframe, and then I lost interest. So I picked it back up this week, and it's so addictive. I think part of the reason why I lost interest is that you can buy Opal and any of those Regia online, you name it, self-striping yarn that has some great details. Maybe the color work isn't as clean and fresh looking as it looks in my sock, but why am I doing all this work for a sock that I'm probably only going to wear around the house because it's double thick and it's pretty thick for a sock. It's super warm. I'm gonna love it, but it's gonna be a for the house sock. So actually these are gonna be my Christmas socks, because then they will be memorialized forever in Christmas pictures. All four of us, all four adults, try and wear our hand knit socks. The boys get the PJs and we do the hand knit socks every year. And so if I'm a good daughter, I knit my parents each a new pair for Christmas, and my husband, but some years I'm not, and we just wear what we have. And I'm the only one who really has Christmas colored socks. If I were nice, I would knit them Christmas colored socks, but then I have a hard time putting them on the rest of the year. Like, I'm not, okay, stop. Okay. Sorry. I could go crazy on that. But, so here's where I was when I picked it back up. You can see my little coffee cup, a little Starbucks mug, and these fly. They fly. They're so fun. They're actually more like knitting a sport weight sock that has interest. What's with the helicopters? Guest appearance by helicopter. But they're more like a sport weight sock. They move along super quick. I think I have 2 more color sections to go, and then I'm doing the heel, and I have to read the pattern because it is another red helicopter. I can't remember if it's an afterthought heel or if I stop and just work heel stitch to the heel, or I don't remember what happened with the heel. So I will follow the pattern because I think that's what I did. I don't remember making any adjustments to it while I was knitting it previously. So that's what I have to show you for knitting stuff. What have I been reading while I've been knitting? Well, I have been reading, I finished the third book, third. One of the books in the Witcher series. So Steve and I are reading those together. It's kind of cute to have a little book club between the two of us. He's playing the game, but he read several of the books and the short stories before he played the game first. So it's cool for both of us. I watch it with him. I know Karen and her husband on Round the Twist. She would help him, and I can totally see why, but some of those graphics are rough for me. Just gory. But yeah, so anyways, finished that, and then I have been devouring book 9 in the Wheel of Time series, which is crazy because I want to say book 6, 7, and 8, I read them, listened to them because they were my kids, and I wanted to see what my kids were up to, but I wasn't like, it wasn't a real page turner, and I wasn't I'm invested in the characters from the previous books, but I wasn't like, I have to read this and know what's going to happen the way you can be with a book. This one, I totally am. There's so much happening. It's almost, it occurred to me the other day that it's like, you could tell he's like, okay, got to bring this end in, and this, like, he's starting to pull the pieces together, you know, like, it's getting to the end of a, 12, 13 book series. I'm on book 9. There's still plenty of plot to go, but you could tell he's moving the chess pieces towards their end goal. So it's really good. If you can make it this far, you will enjoy it. So there's that. I've been watching, I found the Knitters League. I don't remember how I found them. So they're a YouTube podcast. They're so good. But I'll tell you, there's 4 of them recording. And I've been watching the Stitching Sisters. That's another 4-person podcast. That one, they're all 4 sisters. I think some twins or something. And they've had a really funny one. But anyways, the Knitters League is great, and I've probably watched 10 of their back episodes. Like, I just binged it for a couple days while Steve was in New York, and they're great. I really like them, but I can't watch them on 1.5 or double speed. Can't follow that many voices, because everything I listen to or watch, I do on 1.5 speed, which Roland and my son, my oldest son, Roland, and my husband are both like, I can't even listen, turn it off. But that's like, my brain's just gotten used to processing things at that speed, and if it's any slower, I'm like, oh my God, go people, talk. So there's that. I've also, while I'm knitting, I've been watching Peaky Blinders, so that's one that, I don't know. I know my mom won't like it, I don't know, but my dad might, but I don't know how to describe or recommend it. Like, it's a period, so I'll just say it's about gangsters in Europe in the 1900s, and it's such a different society than Downton. It's gritty, it's violent, and it's Sopranos in turn of the century. So it's great. I love it. I've never seen Sopranos, so I don't know if it's actually Sopranos, but I know they're both gangsters. So I've been watching that. And then, oh my gosh, I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Oh, Peaky Blinders is on Netflix. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is on Amazon Prime. If you don't have Prime and you like British TV shows, you should have Prime because they have a ton of BBC stuff and documentaries, which is what I typically watch it for, those two things. But Mrs. Maisel was so good. Oh, I was so sad when it was done. And talk about watching people talk fast. Whew, that's a show that you have to pay attention. But that one I just saw on the header of Amazon got nominated for 14 Emmys or something. It's an award nominated show. It's great. And if you liked Monk, I did not watch Monk. I don't know about Monk, but Monk is Mrs. Maisel's dad, and he's so lovable. I want to watch Monk now, even though I never did. So that's what I've been doing. In terms of us, what else is going on? Ro has been, he spent 3 weeks at the university, the UNH, University of New Hampshire, summer rec camp program, day camp program. And I love the camp because he went last summer too. I love it because it encourages independence for my 6-year-old who went when he was 5. And I probably will not send my younger son until he is 6. I'll hold him. I won't let him go the first year just because there is a lot of independence in that camp. But it's great because it teaches him, hey, you brought your swimming clothes, you brought your towel, your swim shoes, you got to take care of your stuff and keep it together and bring it home. And you're responsible for eating all your lunch and making sure you drink enough water and, you know, putting on your sunscreen. So he's learned some good life lessons in terms of responsibility from the camp. But this past week, there was maybe a little too much independence. Now I can't remember if I told you. I'll make it short. He had, I got an emergency phone call at 2 o'clock. I'm supposed to pick him up at 4 o'clock, 4:30. And 2 o'clock saying, we're out in Chichester or someplace. It was more than an hour away. They were doing a day trip, because that's part of what I like about the camp, is that they take them all over the place and show them all kinds of things. So arcades and state parks, like the gamut of kid activities, and they just keep them really busy, more so than I could do it myself. But I got a phone call saying we're out here and Ro's thrown up 3 times and we think he has heat stroke. And I was like, what? Okay. I didn't realize how serious heat stroke can be. And so I was like, okay, I'll come meet you. And then 10 minutes later I get another phone call and they had covered him in ice packs and he was still throwing up, and they're like, and he was fainting. Like, we think he should go to the emergency room. So I ended up getting them to take him to urgent care while I'm driving the hour, 45 minutes to get there, because they met me. Their urgent care was in between. While I'm driving there, my mom and Steve are on their computers at work and at home looking up heat stroke, and then we're all like, this is serious. So Ro was fine. He was fine. He was sick several more times after he got into my care, which was like, huh. But they did a great job getting his temperature down and just covering him with ice packs and then putting him in an air-conditioned van. It was 95 degrees that day and they were outside. And God bless them, my kids, because they don't notice temperature. So it's 90 degrees and they're outside running and playing soccer full bore, and it doesn't matter to them. So I think that's what he was doing, and he did not drink much water that day. So now he knows to drink water. And we have a new rule. Besides apply sunscreen, bring home your swimming clothes, put on dry socks. It was something we had to learn too, you know. But now we have drink your water bottle before lunch and then drink another water bottle after lunch. So he's actually home this week, actually. But he'll be going back to camp for 2 more weeks later in the summer, which, oh my gosh, we only have like 6 weeks of summer left around here. So I need to go take him to his soccer practice for the day and do some knitting and listen to my book, see how my kids are doing. I hope you have a great 10 days or so until I see you again, my friends, my knitter friends. Take care. Mwah.
Oh. I need to get my towel.
No, not yet. Ooh, what's all this?
Seaweed.
I don't like seaweed.
It's not seaweed.
Oh!
I'm going to get my towel.
Roland and I came to the beach today. Wet Wednesday continued. Chicken. No, don't get it wet, honey. This is somewhere in Rye. I don't know the name of it, but nobody's here. And it's beautiful, 85 degrees in Wallace Sands and Janass Beach. We're packed. Lots of buses of kids. So if you're local and you're patient and you know where to look, you'll find a good beach. Just a matter of stopping and saying, does this one have rocks? Does this one have rocks? And this one does in fact have rocks, but they're not too bad. And there's plenty of sand at the bottom. Anyways. Are you ready to go try again? I think you have seaweed in your goggles. Hi, it's me. It's me at the beach. On a very windy day. Oh no, it's not flooded.